Now at 6, residents of Caney, Kansas deal with water restrictions because of a severe water shortage. Plus, September is Suicide Prevention Month. We're going to hear from a local expert on how you can help. And students in McDonald County get out the big tools to build some tiny homes.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The community of Caney, Kansas is still facing a severe water shortage. This is KOAM News at 6. I'm Dow Quick. In the last 2 months, the city has been in stage 3 emergency, representing the most critical level on the severity scale. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has an update on the story.
It was no secret to Blake Vargas, superintendent of Caney's school, that the academic year would start like it did, with a water shortage and little rain.
We haven't received the rainfall that we had hoped. It seems like most of the time it's right on the edge.
While it affects students, Vargas says they are already used to it.
First time this came out, there was definitely some tough transition, but since we've been through it, we know what we need to do, and what we've realized is that it takes all of us doing our part.
With residents still being restricted to using water only for essential activities because of the lack of rain in the area, the school athletes and facilities are also dealing with the shortage.
Main field, we still do water just from a safety standpoint to make sure that we're having a surface that doesn't increase the likelihood of like a concussion. But again, all of our auxiliary, the practice, all those, there's no watering taking place on that.
The school facilities are not the only places not receiving enough water in Caney. Car washes, pools, and other non-essential activities remain closed. The city's plan was to treat the pool water and send it to the water reservoir to be used by residents. But they didn't proceed with the idea because of a Kansas Department of Health and Environment recommendation.
That was chlorinated water that, we'd have to dechlorinate it and probably treat it, run it through the treatment plant again. It would have taken some 40 truckloads to haul that. So, that's only a half a day's use for the city of Caney.
Now the city is counting on the Nature Helping Hands to have enough water until the next rain comes.
It's kind of your enemy, log jams and beaver dams, and they have actually been an ally to our water situation in letting the water flow slowly so it doesn't rush the dam and just shoot over the top of the dam. And then it drops the level, and then as we draw it down, there's nothing behind it. So it's really worked in quite a way nicely for our benefit.
In Caney, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Kelly also said because of the few rains hitting the area, they didn't need to release water from Timber Hill as planned before. Kansas Department of Health and Environment issues a boil water advisory for Wilson County. The order specifically pertains to the Wilson County Rural Water District 8 public water supply system. The advisory takes effect today and will remain in effect until the conditions that place the system at risk of bacterial contamination are resolved. KDHE officials issued the advisory because of a line break resulting in a loss of pressure in the system. Beautiful weather out there. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy.
Yeah, it's turned out to be another great day for us today. Temperatures fantastic. A little bit on the warm side, but still great. 84 Stockton. We have 86 in Miami, Neosho at 83, Pittsburgh 84, and then you hit the 90s once you get into our far western counties. So it is, it's definitely warm. We're going to stay warm. You can see hot temperatures to our south and then cooler temperatures to our north. There's a front that is sinking in. This is going to give us some clouds, maybe spitting off 1 or 2 little light sprinkles or showers this evening, tonight, and then once again as we get into the daytime hours for us tomorrow, a little bit more concentrated out to the west of Wichita. Through the evening, sliding back through the 80s, 70s, 60s. We'll talk about those rain chances and what you're going to see at your house for the rest of the week here in just a bit.
See you soon. September is Suicide Prevention Month, a month to remember the lives lost to suicide and a time to raise awareness about suicide prevention and share messages of hope. One local expert in Joplin says we should watch for signs such as withdrawing from normal activities or a change in pattern or behavior. Also says the best way to prevent suicide is to talk about it.
The most important thing is just to ask, to be open, ask them if they are doing okay, and if you suspect that they're having thoughts of suicide, ask about suicide in specific terms.
If you're experiencing any suicidal thoughts, there is a national hotline that might be able to help. The number is very simple. It's 988. Students at McDonald County High School have begun the process of building a fully functional tiny home. As part of their construction trades program, students are taking on every aspect of building a home, including carpentry and plumbing and electrical work. Through this experience, some students have even been inspired to put their practical skills to use after high school.
They're not going to leave here a master carpenter or a plumber or electrician, but they're going to have knowledge that they can take out into a workforce and, make a good living.
This tiny home is set to be finished by the end of the school year, and then it'll be sold at auction. The remains of a World War II soldier that had been in a Japanese prisoner of war camp will soon be laid to rest finally in Jay, Oklahoma. Army Private First Class POW Lex Lee Lillard will be interred October 7th in McCoy Family Cemetery. PFC Lillard was one of the many POWs subjected to the 65-mile Bataan Death March. His remains were identified using circumstantial evidence and DNA analysis. PFC Lillard died in July of 1942. He was 20 years old. Later, Webb City takes on Ozark in a district softball matchup about 2.5 weeks before the start of the playoff season. But up next, politicians from both sides of the aisle head out to show the Show Me State support for striking auto workers. Firefighters responded to a geyser that spouted in northwestern Oklahoma City yesterday. According to the Oklahoma City Fire Department, the geyser consisted of oil from the ground near a residential area. Pipeline company digging in the area hit a 16-inch oil pipeline, according to the OCFD. Pipeline company did manage to shut off the oil flow, but boy, what a mess. This after 92,000 gallons of oil spilled out near that residential area. Construction crews built dams out of dirt and sandbags in order to stop and redirect the oil from that geyser. William Shakespeare said politics makes strange bedfellows, but apparently so does an auto worker strike. A Democratic U.S. congressman and a Republican U.S. senator, who are both from Missouri, are both voicing their support for the striking workers. Reporter Russell Kinsall has more from St. Louis.
Support for striking UAW workers is coming from all over. Over the weekend, Democratic Congresswoman Cori Bush brought New York Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to town to show their support.
You want some water, sir?
Today, Republican Senator Josh Hawley passed out water on the picket line, declared he's in 100% support of the workers.
Here's the bottom line. The company CEO of GM makes like $30 million a year. I mean, these guys, increasingly, they can't afford to buy the cars that they make.
But what will be the cost of the strike? The first will be felt at local dealerships after the strike expanded to parts distribution centers.
It's a major hit to us. So
For local dealerships?
For local dealerships and customers alike, because it can be hard to get your car serviced. So we won't have all the parts that we need.
Don Brown of Don Brown Chevrolet said a prolonged strike will shrink the supply of new cars, so expect to pay sticker cost. And dealerships will sell more used cars, but demand will drive up their prices too. As far as the union's demand, the Economic Policy Institute says from 2013 to 2022, profits for the big three automakers rose 92%. CEO pay jumped 40%, but worker pay fell 19% because of the rise in inflation. The UAW says a 46% pay increase will only add 2% to the cost of a new vehicle. Ford's CEO said a 40% hike would put them out of business. No one believes that, but whatever pay hike workers get, Brown said it will be passed along.
They're paying more for labor. They're paying more for, for building the car. The price of the car goes up.
Senator Hawley's response to price hike concerns: the companies can't afford it.
Why don't they take a cut in CEO pay and maybe, a few less stock buybacks?
President Biden made the trip to Michigan today to show his support for United Auto Workers as that strike is now in its 12th day. A little bit later, the Cardinals and Royals look to close out their lackluster seasons on a series of high notes. John has details on tonight's matchups coming up in sports.
Plus, we have a weak cold front sliding in. Could this give us a little bit of rain? We're going to check that out coming up. Well, it definitely turned out to be another warm one for us today. Plenty of sunshine across the region. Another great day on tap for us. And overall, the weather looks very nice through most of the week. Nice shot. This is Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo is just outside of Seneca, Missouri. Pretty much clear skies at this point in time. Of course, we're into fall now. So when are we going to see the peak of our fall color? So we're sitting right in here this week. And if we advance into next week, we start to get a little bit of color, a little bit of patchy color here in about 2 weeks. But we don't peak in the four-state area until the last week of October and the first week of November on average. And that's what I expect to see as we go through the next month or so. Temperature is definitely warm. 85 Nevada, 83 Neosho, 86 in Welch, still 91 in Neodesha. You can see a few little clouds out there. 85 feels like 85. South winds at 10. Visibility is good. If you want to get out this evening, it's good. We slide back through the 80s, 70s, eventually into lower 60s later on tonight. All right, you can see some clouds and a couple little tiny showers spreading into our northern counties. Not a big deal, but just some very light showers. Fort Scott over toward Nevada, one just south of Burlington. This is due to a weak front, so it's kind of draped all the way out toward Wichita. And this is going to slide in over the next 24 hours. It's all associated with an upper level low out across the Great Lakes. Now, besides that, if you look out toward the west, there's nothing going on. That's pretty much our weather as we go through the next several days. All right, let's go through time tonight. Here comes that front. So 5 a.m. tomorrow morning, again, some clouds, maybe a spotty shower. The front hangs around through the morning, again, a spotty shower by the noon hour, and then hangs out again through the afternoon. So here's 4:30, temperature still mid to upper 80s, and we can't rule out a spotty shower. Most of you will end up staying dry. As we go through tomorrow evening into the overnight hours, the clouds will start to break. Our front will start to lift back toward the north as we head into Thursday morning. Southerly winds return, and then by Thursday afternoon, sunshine returns. High temps back into the upper 80s for highs. So overall, we look pretty good. Day planner for you tomorrow, 63 in the morning. Again, spotty shower, 81 by noon, 85 by 4. We're going to go for a high temp of 86 degrees. Now, as we go through the rest of the week, our big dome high pressure, he's back. This is the same guy that would cause the triple-digit heat that we saw in the summer months. So that's why we're hot, but not as hot as it was. Until this breaks down, we're going to continue to have warm, mainly dry weather. As we go through next week, finally, we get a wave out by the middle of next week, and that will change our pattern back to more of a wetter pattern once again. 86 tomorrow, 88 on Thursday, 87 on Friday. Holding 88s over the weekend, warm into the beginning of next week, then finally some rain chances by the middle and latter half of next week.
We're getting some pretty good regular rain for a little while, but not enough and not long enough for sure.
Yeah, and it's going to dry out quite a bit over the next weeks.
Looks that way. Thanks, Doug. Still at Webb City softball hopes to continue its winning ways this evening. And Pitt State volleyball begins a 5-match homestand this evening. John Dales has those stories and more coming up next.
Hey, welcome into sports. I'm John Dales. Hard to believe it, but we're only 2.5 weeks away from district playoff time in Missouri high school softball. This evening marks another busy day for plenty of our local teams, starting first with Webb City, who was on a cold streak as of just a few days ago. That was because the Cardinals lost 3 in a row a week ago, but after taking down Republic on Thursday, Webb City has gone unbeaten in the UCM tournament in Warrensburg this past weekend. The Cardinals bested Lebanon yesterday. This evening they host Ozark. We'll have highlights from the Tigers and Cardinals battle right here tonight at 10. Meanwhile, another COC battle taking place at Carl Junction. The Bulldogs host Carthage. The Tigers coming off a 4-0 loss to Nevada at home yesterday, but they were no hit by Peyton Eaton. They try to turn things around on the road this afternoon. Carl Junction lost 5 in a row, also needs a win. We'll let you know the score of this one tonight as well. And Joplin heads to Marion Sports Complex in Neosho to play the Wildcats today. Neosho is playing its best softball of the year right now. Wildcats have won 9 contests in a row dating back to the 15th. It's Neosho's penultimate home game of the regular season. We'll tell you the final score of this one later tonight as well. Pitt State Volleyball back at home tonight. The Gorillas opened MIAA play at John Lance Arena 2 weeks ago and easily dispatched of Newman in straight sets. The Gorillas went on the road for their next 3 matches since then, and they've struggled a bit, losing 2, winning 1. Tonight, the Gorillas in Central Oklahoma, number 20 team in the country, do battle. This is one of the teams that PSU saw back on that road trip on the 16th. That match ended swiftly. The Broncos swept the Gorillas. We'll see if the home court advantage makes a difference. We'll have highlights from John Lance Arena tonight at 10. Over to baseball, probably comes as a relief to most fans in the area, but a week from today, we won't be talking about the game the Royals or the Cardinals have that night. That's because each of them have just 6 games remaining in the 2023 regular season. St. Louis on the road at Milwaukee. The Brewers are hoping to pop champagne after this one. Their magic number to clinch the National League Central is just 1. All they need to do is win tonight. Cards are trying to postpone that celebration for the time being. First pitch in Milwaukee, just over 15 minutes away. Not going to be popping any champagne bottles over in Detroit. The 102-loss Royals take on the 83-loss Tigers. However, Kansas City trying to end a forgettable season on a very high note. The Royals have won 6 games in a row and 10 of their last 11, most recently sweeping the playoff hopeful Astros. Tonight's game at Comerica Park just getting started, still in the early stages. That's all for sports. We're back after this.
Here's a look at what's coming up on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Community members and Carthage city leaders take sides on the proposed removal of the Carthage Water and Electric Plant Board. Plus, we're going to have more on McDonald County High School students getting some real-world experience building a tiny home, and what a new study shows about the number of people who experience long COVID symptoms. Those stories, a lot more, of course, it's coming up tonight on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. When severe weather strikes, you're going to want to stay informed, and you can do that very simply. You can scan this QR code. You can do it right now. It'll take you to the KOAM News Now YouTube page where our weather team will live stream during severe weather events, give you updated information. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe and ring that bell for notifications. Why did the chicken cross the road? Well, maybe to run from the cops. This body cam images is from Jonesboro, Arkansas. It shows Officer Nathan Swindle chasing down a chicken after residents complained about the bird. He's a new academy grad, so that's his training officer you saw with him. The police department says the officers returned the chicken to its home safely. On the video, Swindle jokes this was his first foot chase, or maybe claw chase, as the case might be.
Just a little bit of hazing going on, that's all.
Yeah. That chicken's going back to the pen, I guess.
There you go.
The weather, pretty nice tonight.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. We are going to have some clouds. We'll drop back lower 60s, and then maybe a couple sprinkles for you tomorrow. High temp, 86.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here for KOAM News at 10. Let's make it a great evening.